welcome to Go Forward Side Effects. I'm your host, Wade Renard. Everybody knows my co-host, John. John, how you doing? Everybody knows the faithful leader, Kevin. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, you know me, loving, kind, and gentle.
And tonight it is with my great honor to introduce Colonel Frank Hancock, retired 101st Airborne Air Assault, author of Operation Desert Storm. How you doing tonight, Colonel?
I am just proud to be here.
Awesome. Well, we need to get this out of the way right from the get-go. So there's probably not a lot of people from other services that understand the difference between the 101st and the 82nd, like Kevin. And if you've never served in either one of those units, they probably don't understand, one, the difference, and two, the rivalry between the two units. So in being a better historian than myself, can you give a brief overview? Not many people know about Operation Overlord, World War II, but going forward from World War II, can you explain exactly what the 101st mission, like from Vietnam going forward, has become?
Yeah, I'm gonna take 30 seconds to go back to World War II. When you went back into World War II, just about all the major powers were trying to come up with this new type of a force, a parachute force, right? And so the United States comes up. The first division was the 82nd. The 82nd would jump into Sicily, and it would kind of lead the way in tactics and techniques. Then would come the 101st. The 101st would come in, and the same thing. Parachute, and also would have glider troops. Both of them distinguished themselves in Operation Overlord, the invasion of France, and also in Market Garden, the invasion of Holland. They were both rock hard. And as you went toward Vietnam, right, the 82nd would retain its primary mission as to insert by parachute. The 101st would not. At the end of the Vietnam War in the early 70s, we would become what was called air mobile. And so what we're going to do is we're going to fly around, get behind the enemy in helicopters. And right around 75, 76, the nomenclature changed to air assault, which gave it a little more verve and vigor, right? And so the purpose of the 101st in reality now is to provide say you went up against a major power, maybe China, maybe Russia, I don't know, maybe Venezuela. It would provide you the opportunity to get behind them with precision. So you're going to take these helicopters and jam troops in them like we did and get behind somebody and cut their communications, cut to their logistics. And it's just a great asset. The downside of it is it's expensive as hell. I mean, it's an expensive thing, right? You got your carrier helicopter, your Blackhawks and the Chinooks, and then you got your Apaches that are going to protect it. And then you would have your scouts, the Kiowas, and other things. And they're going to other platforms, but they're not there yet. But it's the same idea. We're going to get behind you, you bunch of jackwads, and then we're going to repel with you. And so if they take a look at Desert Storm, and we'll talk about that in a minute, that's what they'll find. This division has the capability of going 100, 150 miles behind you, right? And then cut your logistics and cut your communications. And so whether or not we do it or not, as my cat comes climbing up here, it's not irrelevant, but they have to think about it. So that's kind of the way I look at the 101st, and I think the way it still looks at itself.
And as far as the Army goes, everybody knows about the Army-Navy rivalry. We have a pretty good one going on in the show. As far as the Army goes, there is not a bigger competition rivalry than the 82nd and the 101st. I was in the 82nd. You were in the 101st. I've known people to be in both. And when it goes back to head, that has got to be the biggest rivalry in the entire Army.
Yeah, no, because who's the baddest?
Yeah, who's the baddest? Back and forth.
Oh, no,
we can spend the next hour throwing different names back and forth. But I know the colonel's above that, and we don't have much time. And I'm not above that, but that's okay. Yeah, we got to move on. So Colonel, you have a book coming out. We're going to get to the book. But what I did ask you one time is, which I think a lot of people watching our show is, you were a West Point graduate.
Yep.
And my one question to you was, what year did you attend Airborne school?
Yeah, no, I attended Airborne school right after graduation. So I went in August of 1972.
1972.
Right? I'm older than dirt, but that doesn't matter. I'm just not a. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
You look
Me
so
too.
young.
Okay. Well, no, we were running in black boots, jump boots.
Yeah. The
Oh
Airborne
no,
shuffle.
oh no, around the Airborne track 5 mile. Yeah, no, we're running in jump with no. We did PT in jump boots, right? And so I just remember it was the hottest. It was the hot until I got to Saudi Arabia, but the risers and all that stuff down there, Fort Benning in August, I'd tell people, whatever you do, if you can go in Airborne any other time than the summer, do that, because it's just so damn miserable. But I was newly married. We didn't know any better. I was there with my wife, and I'd come home. I'd be rashed and everything. And she did great trying to take care of me, but it was hard business. And but then again, anybody that goes through Airborne school, whether it's then or now, it's a beat your body school. It's hard.
And you were you an infantry officer your entire career?
I was. I went infantry. I went to Airborne school. I went to Ranger school, got hurt. I got frostbite. And then I went back 4 years later in January, not my choosing, but they sent me back in the wintertime. And so it made a man of me. Yeah, sure.
Let me interrupt you a second, sir. Just for our Navy buddy over here, and well, I'm an engineer. What on God's green earth made you decide infantry? Humor us.
Okay, fine. So this is I thought, so this is the way you chose. You chose by class rank in West Point. They put you in this huge auditorium, and there are all 806 slots. And whatever your class rank is, so I'm 586. So I'm going, well, if there's a signal slot left, I'm taking it. So bigger than crap, it's my turn. And I'm going to stand. This no shit happened. Right. So I'm going to stand up. I'm going to stand up and go signal. As I'm getting up, I look at my buddy Joe Organis, who's sitting next to me. He was 100 slots ago. He went infantry. And I'm looking at him as I'm standing up, and I say, infantry, and sit down. And everybody's looking like, what the hell did you do? And that's a good question. I don't know what the hell I did. I just knew I stood up, signal, and I sat down infantry. So that's how much I thought about it, right? But I thought, well, hell, I can hang out. Interesting thing, he went into the 82nd. Yeah, he went into the 82nd, and I went to the 3rd Infantry Division. But that's how I went. For me, what I did know, I'm a much better infantry officer than I'd have been a signal. How about no? I just no. I don't.
I appreciate that. Thanks for.
Yes. Yeah.
I've always kind of curious how that happens.
Yeah, you could say I was stupid. Stupid's another reason.
No,
Why did you
no.
I only say that if you jump out of air perfectly good.
Most normal people won't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
normal people don't.
Normal.
Colonel, can you give the gist? Because at the 101st, you have an air assault school, which gives another bolo badge for the troops. But can you explain in a gist what the air assault school involves?
Sure. Here's the interesting thing about this: the 101st. Some of the stuff we do is very technical, and you cannot mess it up, right? Especially when you're tying Humvees or 105 pieces or whatever piece underneath a helicopter, right? And so there's
105, Kevin. That's a big shell, a big metal thing that shoots out.
Yeah, no,
okay,
we put that so you can't screw it up. So most of the school is technical stuff. It's academic stuff. You got to know how to do that. Plus, you learn how to rappel out of a helicopter, which some people do that. They
a lot of people think it is just doing 5 rappels, but
no, it is not. No, that's all bullshit. No, right. The hard part is learning how to tie the knots, or not knots, but how to whatever configuration they use to when that helicopter goes up. So does your Humvee, right? And because if you don't do it right, there's a good chance not only the Humvee is going to crash, the helicopter will crash, right? So it's not messing around. And again, the PT that you do there at Air Assault School is harder than Airborne School.
No, yeah, I've heard. I've had friends go through, and they say the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, Bruce says the same thing.
I just saw my drivers come up here. I didn't say it was harder. I just said the PT was hard. Going back to jump school, you got to jump out of the damn plane, right? And somebody's got to clang them together and say, "Yes, I can do that." And there's a great, as you know, you get to the door and you go, "Well, shit, why am I doing this? Maybe I don't want to jump out of this damn airplane." Yep, it's too late, right? You're going. Right? There's no way you're going to back out.
Right?
Your ass is out to one way or the other.
No.
But Air Assault School, it serves a purpose, and everybody that goes to the 101st eventually is going to have to go to Air Assault School, which they absolutely should, because everybody, you don't know if you're going to have to sling load that crap. So if you do, then you have to know what you're doing. Right. And they teach it. And again, this was for me the great thing about Army schools. It doesn't matter how damn smart you are. You're going to do it enough times until you get it right. Right. And so the Army, the public education system ought to take a look at how the Army does stuff. We don't care if you've got an advanced degree or can't read. You're going to get this right because we're going to make you get it right. Right. Because you have to. Repetition. Right. You're going to have to do that. Anyway.
So you get to your first assignment in 1972. You're dealing with a bunch of post-Vietnam veterans.
Oh, okay. Well, no, and matter of fact, I'm not going to say it. Yeah, but this is the first chapter of the book about what I call the Smash Mouth Army. When I got to my first unit, it's March of '73, and I'd gone to Airborne School, the basic infantry course, and I've gone to Ranger School and got frostbite. So it's showtime. I now show up in Germany.
So what kind of introduction did you get there?
Oh, this was the introduction. It's my first day. I go to 1st Platoon, Charlie Company, 2nd, 30th, 3rd Infantry Division in Schweinfurt, Germany. And it is right after the peace treaty has been signed in Vietnam. And we still have draftees. And we haven't figured out what type of troops we want in this new volunteer army. So I go out there to my first formation. I'm standing in the back. Platoon Sergeant Willie Martin calls him to attention. And I come around and I go, "Good morning, men." I took the report. I said, "Good morning, men. I'm Lieutenant Hancock. I'm your new platoon leader." In back, it's dark. It's dark. It's March in Germany. And you hear this rumbling. "Hey, fuck you, motherfucker." And you're going, right. So this happened to me. And the thing I have told people, and I told in the book, this was absolutely, there was nothing unusual about this in that army. That army was, and again, you ask somebody, "What did you think of the 73, 74 Army?" And they'll just say, "We sucked. We stuck with it," primarily because there was no discipline. You guys are all 80s guys, I assume, right? Came into the service in the 80s. We're kicking ass in the 80s. In 73, we couldn't have beat the Salvation Army, much less the Soviet Army. We really couldn't. Right? Oh, we were. Oh, it was horrific.
When I did this, I wasn't telling you to move it along. I talk a lot with my hands, so I hope you didn't take that as a sign of disrespect or telling you to. That's not what I was doing.
I don't care. Okay. Yeah, you confused me with someone.
Well, John's one that had a sign language. Yeah, and so he hasn't got it down yet, and he keeps sign language in over there. It's great. Okay, so well, here's the thing about it is but back then you were talking about you still had guys who were, most of the guys probably weren't voluntary, right? Most of them were.
It was absolutely in the transition mode. Okay. Probably of that platoon, and I could name I could tell you their names, but I don't want them. They might be listening, right? They were druggies. And so But here was the other thing about them. They had been done wrong, right? Some of them were pissed for legitimate reasons and nobody cared. My predecessor, Lieutenant blank blank, right? He had got arrested for smoking dope with the troops. So I see him one time.
Yeah.
He had shaved his head like a Buddhist monk and was in chains. They're marching him. They're frog marching him just to make sure everybody knows this is what happens to the lieutenant who smokes dope. It was
Holy shit.
hash. It was hash. And it smoked
Yeah.
dope with the
Hash
troops.
was big in Germany.
Oh, no, it was huge. And it was not.
Yeah.
It was just not a nice thing to mess around with. And so we would say he's not a bad troop. He doesn't do dope on duty. So if you didn't do dope on duty, you're a good troop. But if you're doing dope on duty and off duty, it was all, and this was the other part of that army, I'm just saying, it was almost impossible, 73, 74, to kick a person out. You'd see soldiers, and one guy had 12 Article, now think that through, 12 Article 15s.
Well,
what were we doing? Yeah, 12,
Jesus.
right? And the reason why is nobody wanted to kick them out because we're transitioning to a volunteer army and we have to have so many people, right? And so they're not kicking anybody out. So 75, 76 comes in and we come up with urinalysis tests. Oh, baby. Okay, come on in here, young man. Now piss in the bottle, right? And they try to put it in the urinal and get out white water and all kind of crap, right? Try to go, no, hell no. It's got to have some color in it. That came from the sink, right? So you'd be in there watching these guys go to the bathroom. But what it did, 75, 76, we started cleaning the army up. In the army, 76, 77, 78 started to turn itself around internally. The Army did, as did the Marines, as did the Air Force. We're turning ourselves around because we can't stay here where we're a superpower with a subpar military. Can't do that because there's pirates, and pirates want to take our crap. Okay, so the problem was we're running into, and I'm being political or anything, but you run into the Carter administration, and the Carter administration didn't want us to give us money. They just didn't, right? That's just the way it was. If you look back at the records, you'll see what I'm saying. Fast forward to 1981 when Reagan comes in, and then here comes the Reagan's military revolution, and you guys were a part of it. You never had to worry about money. You never had to worry about spare parts. There was money for training and all that stuff. That came because that group of people, that administration, and again, this is me, said, hey, screw this, we're going to build these guys up. So now the military wants to do it and now has the funding to do it, right? And so by 1990, the military that you guys were in, that was and again, again, this is my belief, was the best military we ever threw into combat, right? No army, Marine Corps, Navy. Hell, the Navy had damn near 600 ships, right? Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. No, you badasses. Oh, yeah. Right? And so our army, I called it the Smash Mouth Army. You touch us, we're going to break your freaking nose, right? And so people, when they talk about Desert Storm, they go, well, you guys didn't fight anybody. And you're going, how about that ain't right? These were the fourth largest army in the world, and they had 6 months to dig in. And so what do? We beat their ass. Why? Because we were that much better, right? That's forgotten in the process. Again, this is one of my reasons why I wrote the book. Everybody forgot that. It went from 73 to 90, 17 years of you and you and you and you in the Navy kicking ass and taking names and saying, yeah, if you what's that, FAFO? Okay, go ahead. And so they did, Hussein did, and he found out, right? Sorry. That's a long rant from.
That's right, guys. Y'all pay attention. The Navy went in and kicked ass. Y'all pay
The Navy
attention.
did. The Navy did kick ass, right? They did that.
Believe it or not, it's like the other day, our war got brought up. when he brought in all the generals, Hegseth brought in all the generals,
Right.
he brought up our war about how badass we were and how good we were, how we were dedicated to the military. And I mean, it was the first time when I heard him say 90 to 91, our military was at its best.
Yeah.
I felt great at that time that we got acknowledgement for once. I mean, because we were badass. I mean, y'all had me there.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, I tell people we had professional privates. We had, and you look at the 80s, who in the hell we were recruiting. We were recruiting good people, and then we were educating them. We were training them. We were paying them. People talk about toxic. We don't know toxically. It was hard training. If you were in the, and I can speak from the Army, and all you guys, John, you and Wade can say, you were training all damn time, all the time, going somewhere to go train. Right. And the Navy was doing what the Navy was going to do. And us in the Air Force were doing this air-land battle stuff of how we're going to kick the Soviets' ass. Go ahead. You know, I always thought by 86, 87, we're telling the Soviets, go ahead, invade Czechoslovakia, invade West Germany. We're going to kick your ass and we're going to take all of Eastern Europe back. And you start messing with our M1s and Bradleys and Patriots and MLRS and all that other stuff, Apaches, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. So for me, I think back in the 80s is the best damn time ever, because what were we doing? We were doing what we were supposed to do. And there was, and I was looking at it from being a major and a lieutenant colonel at that time frame. You had all kind of leeway to take risks, calculated risks. And if you screwed up, you didn't get jack slapped, right? You just didn't. Right. You had the opportunity to train. In training, sometimes there's calculate. If it's a live fire, it's a calculated risk, right? If it's a night live fire, movement to contact, it's a big damn calculated risk. But people allowed you to do that, right? The generals allowed you to do that, right? And going back to Hegseth, he was straight on, right? Where are you going to find another military of that caliber? Well, you can scour the whole freaking Army history, and you won't find it. So,
yeah, darn right, darn Skippy. All right, Wade, I see you want to say something.
Well, no, so I had a chance to talk to the colonel earlier today. So we were talking August 1st of 1990. Yep. And I went back and looked, and so my battalion, they were on DRF-1. We jumped into Fort Chaffee, Rattlesnake DZ, and that was August 1st. And we got pulled out, and I was sitting in Saudi Arabia on August 20th.
Yep.
Yeah. And didn't you say you guys were pulling DRF-1 as well?
Well, we were pulling DRF-9, and so for the non-18th,
yeah, I'm saying you go explain that.
Yeah, your DRF-1 is the Division Ready Force 1, and that was an infantry battalion. That is the initial one that's going to go out of that division. DRF-9, that's what we were in the 101st. We're the ones that are going to push them out. We're going to set up all the stations, set up all the deployment stations, and run them. And it's hard. So on August the 1st, like Wade said, I'm thinking I'd been in command of my battalion, about 101st 327, 705 guys when it was filled out. We're going to go to Fort Chaffee in March. So we have our plan to train and get ready to go. On the 2nd of August, everybody's going to Saudi Arabia. And you try to tell people, nobody saw that coming. Right. If you remember, and you guys were young kids, I mean, you're like 20, 21 at the time. Right. Well, I'm an old man at 39. And so I'm watching CNN, and CNN says that Arabs don't invade other Arab countries. I go, well, shit, CNN knows everything. Right. They've got the experts. And so this is, okay, fine. So I'm going to tell you about this guy, my battalion 2, on that night of August the 1st. And because I'm going to talk to him about it later, so I might as well throw this in there. The guy's name's Jose Delgado. He's a genius. He's a captain at the time, 29 years old. He walks in on August the 1st, and he shuts the door and he goes, "Sir, Iraq's going to invade Kuwait. This is about 12 hours before they attack." I go, "That's bullshit. I just heard it on CNN. They're not going to attack." And he's going, "Sir, and he got right in my face. And he goes, "Sir, I'm telling you, they're going to attack." I go, "All right, fine. Well, okay, fine. You're the only guy around here because Arabs just don't attack Arabs, right?" And so the next day they attack. And I'm looking at this guy, I go, "Yeah, who the hell's this guy?" Because I'd known him for about 6 weeks, but he sure as hell called it. He was the only guy that called it. Right. He came in there, young captain, said no. So my trust in him, like shit, like, dude, you sound like you know what you're talking about. Because he looks like a Boy Scout. I mean, just because he has a real young face and everything, just a young kid. But he comes in here and says, no, they're going to attack, and they're going to attack real soon. So you have this whole, I don't know, your world just turned upside down, and it did for all you guys did. You guys, nobody was thinking about Kuwait. You guys didn't know where Kuwait was. I wasn't sure where it was. I knew it was in the Middle East, but I didn't know it was there. And so the next thing you know, he takes Kuwait, and then he pushes all his armor, at least I think it was 4 divisions, down on the Saudi border. And you're going, shit, what? You're going, I don't know. It looks like he's going to invade Saudi Arabia. Right. And I knew that wasn't going to happen, or we were going to, there's no way he could have Iraq, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. He just blackmailed the world with all that. He'd have like 60% of the oil. That's my big fat chubby cat. She doesn't talk much, but she'll. Okay. So she's thinking, won't you?
Yeah, she must be on the podcast.
Yes, right. So it was just like you said, Wade. You think nothing is going wrong. The world is at peace. The Soviets are turning into the Russians. The Berlin Wall. We're going to have peace, kumbaya. And next thing we know, we're going to fight the biggest tank battle since the Battle of Kursk in 1943.
We can't go to war. I was supposed to get married.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah, it's just like, okay, all right, whatever.
So with y'all being and y'all realizing this, because with us in the Navy, we didn't realize it until our commanding officer came up to us and he told us we start loading cargo. I mean, just our ship was full, and we're like, okay, this is where. And he goes, everybody call home. He goes, tell them you're not going to come home for a while. Don't tell them where you're going.
Right. They told you to call home?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were
really
on land.
Must be a Navy thing. I wasn't nowhere fucking near a damn phone.
Yeah, but you have to realize we were civilized back then compared to the Army. We were civilized.
Okay. You're floating in the middle of no fucking where and get on a damn phone. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I digress.
But I mean, but for y'all to realize, okay, y'all are seeing this, and that's going through y'all's mind is okay. We're going to be heading out there, because for us, we didn't still have a clue. We just kept steaming, but we knew something was going down.
Yeah, the thing for the 82nd and for the 101st is it's not we're going there. We're going there right now, right? And so a week later, it's on the 1st. We're doing nothing. 2nd, he invades. The 9th, our first units are leaving, right? And the 82nd was pumping people out. The Marines were putting people over there. They were flying F-15s in. And so in August, we're starting to build up. And we didn't know anything. He had chemical. We don't know if he's going to use it. He's got Scuds. We don't know he's got 2nd and 3rd generation MiGs. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. We don't know if we're going to be able to be compatible with this Islamic culture. We don't know and this was we don't know what the American people are going to do, because I'm still burnt. I am still pissed about Vietnam, and I didn't go, but I'm still pissed because I'm at West Point and I'm watching all these kiddos who are young lieutenants and young 19 get shit on, just saying, by half of the American population, maybe 40% of the American population.
Yeah, I believe that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're just getting crapped on. And so we're thinking, how long is this euphoria going to work for us? until they start calling us baby killers or telling us protesting our right, because you have volunteers, right? And so they volunteer for a lot of things, but they didn't volunteer. They didn't volunteer for the country to turn on them. And there was some uncertainty. And so anybody who said that didn't cross their mind, it did. It certainly crossed the Vietnam vets' mind. And when you think about who were the Vietnam vets, were the colonels and the generals. But these are the guys that stuck with the services and decided to ride this entity called the U.S. Army, U.S. Marines back into this ass-kicking organization of 1990. And so just a little bit about, they were hard men. They were hard dudes, those Vietnam guys. They had, and again, this is me reading them. I wasn't one of them. I was just a little after them. But I'm looking at them, and they're going, well, we're not going to do that again. We are not going to do that. And we're not going to get beat either. Right. So that was also one of the things that you got to take into consideration is that these guys had been to war. They know what war's kind of like, and they're not going to do the same thing that got us what happened after Vietnam, of this kind of a stab in the back. You win everything, you get a peace treaty, and then you let Saigon fall.
So you guys get there. What'd you say? You're at 705 men for your?
Yeah, but I got there. I got to that number about November, because I went over with about 640, and they're just jamming people in, and that was.
You was living in a tent city. I mean, you might. I don't know if you ever made it over to Champion, Maine, or not, and checked out our digs. I mean,
no, shit, no. So no, we're I wish I'd put it. We
could have requisitioned that, sir.
We could have not had anything more austere. In the fact that the Army, especially those guys who went over early, didn't. There's a chance you go out there where Lawrence of Arabia didn't want to go. And so that's where the hell we were. We were out there where there are no Europeans, Westerners out where the hell we were. We were up north in the covering force, and we would rotate back down to Camp Eagle. Camp Eagle 2 was a white tent. Everybody had a white tent. There were four. I had a white tent because I'm an Italian fan. Everybody else is, jammed into it. 4, 5, 6 people in a tent. They were these Hodge tents. We have no electricity. Our water is this. We get an MRE, 2, 3 MREs. Sometimes we would get a hot meal. Most of the time we did not. When we went to the covering force, there was nobody in front of us. There was supposed to be this is where I was, where our brigade sector, my sector, right? We're about 40 kilometers from the border. This is the covering force. There was nobody into my flank. So when I went up, 1st 327th, the 101st was the most western flank. I was the most western, and I'm looking 400 miles. There's no flank. I got no flank, right? And so we lived in shelter halves, right, for maybe 6 weeks at a time. Then we rotate back. And so what did you eat? MREs and water and whatever pogey bait was sent to you, right? And you're going, that's it? I go, yeah, that's it. There was no electricity. There was no iPod, cell phone, any of that shit. If you wanted entertainment, we would have like dirt clod home run derby, or we'd have scorpion fights. Scorpion fights was one of the more interesting.
People?
Oh, we had this big old black scorpion named Iron Man, and Iron Man won like 5 nights in a row. He was a powerful, and then we decided to have a cross genus. So we got us a big camel spider, and everybody's throwing their money down and shit. Everybody threw it on our Iron Man, got his ass kicked by that camel spider. Spider killed him. And now this is all true.
We go out right now.
No, he had given us so much entertainment. We had a funeral ceremony where we shot, see if your weapons will work right. Yeah, scorpion races. Yes, it's the best. You're going, no, you didn't. I go, yeah, the hell we didn't. What else you think we're going to do, right? Because you think again, any type of magazine that came to you, if it had a female in it, somebody had taken a magic marker and marked it out of skin. You're going, what type of lunatics do this? Who the hell is doing this censoring shit, right? Right, and so you're going. They think me must be the Knight Templars or something, monastic guys out here. It was just crazy, right? But at the same time, everybody got kind of hard about it, right? And so that was not a bad thing. So by the time Desert Storm, we'd been out there 6-7 months. We were kind of hard people, and so when they said you can go home.
When did you guys move to the country?
The 101st writ large, right, started about the 9th and 10th of August. My battalion,
Okay.
I closed on September the 14th because we were putting everybody on, right? We had 42 days of DRF 9, right? And so we didn't get to leave. We were the guys that were putting people on the trains, putting the gear on our trains, putting people on aircraft to get out. And so when everybody had left from the division, we turned it over to the 20th Engineers. They were a core unit, and they became the DRF 9. Then we hopped on a plane and went over. So September the 14th, we got there.
That's a great day. That is a great day in this world. September the 14th. I just want y'all to know that.
Is that your birthday?
Of course. And that's fascinating to hear this side of the stories, especially from officer side.
Right.
Because when you listen to an enlistment, they kind of like, well, it's kind of like this, but when you got a colonel up here, he's up here, yeah, we had this, and they done everything you guys did. My commanding officer had it made. He had a big old stateroom, and he had his own chef.
Yeah, no, I
flip you a lot of shit. The Navy. I have a lot of respect for Navy. I flip you a lot of shit because I can. That's I feel it's like my job type of thing. But I mean, Colonel, you said you didn't have it. Like, of course, we didn't go without. We always had power. We always had, of course, we made shit because we had the stuff. That's kind of what we did, right? Yeah. So I didn't go without. Almost always had hot chow. We had a phenomenal mess sergeant. She was I would volunteer to go with the platoon, moving all the shit forward, just so I made sure we had hot chow.
Why you rubbing this in? Why you rubbing it in?
Oh no, you were
my job, brother.
You were mechanized though, right, John?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit, mechanized. It's a different world.
What's the definition of light infantry, sir?
The definition of travel light, freeze at night, whatever.
Give me my whoopee.
It's some bullshit, right? It's just like if you want to carry it, then you carry it. And I was lucky. I mean, I had a vehicle. I had a Humvee, and I guess I don't know if I had a trailer. And I saw him on here, Bruce Ditfield. He was wonderful. But what made everything. I had a wonderful staff, right? So these were all young guys. My S1, my 2. What is a woobie? You want to explain what a woobie is?
Your poncho liner is what I use. Keep you warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it's a woobie is something that you put on that's light.
Snivel gear.
Yeah, poncho liner is the greatest. It's a wonderful piece of gear. It's wonderful. Anyway, on the my staff was wonderful. I had a great S1, but they were all young guys. They were young guys, 26 years old. My XO was harder than woodpecker lips. And then the sergeant major that I had, Sergeant Major Riley, was a stone cold killer philosopher. He was just, if God came down and said, make me a model of your warrior, they take Riley and cast him. He was just he was a Vietnam guy. He was a mortar guy. And what I did, and I'm just telling you this because I'm just telling you about him, but He was written up in 3 different books as an E6. 3 different books in the Battle of Dak To of bringing in fire on the North Vietnamese who were about 50 to 100 yards away and destroying their attack. And he was just a stone cold, well, I said killer, he is, but he was also the greatest of leaders, right? And so when he would talk, I'd shut my mouth. I was smart enough to know, oh, hell no. I would always talk before him because he was a better motivator. He just really was. And so I had this wonderful staff, and then I had 5 company commanders, and all those were, and again, I'm just a lucky bastard because they were all like badasses. They were hard men, right? They were this Reagan army. They were trained and in good shape, good leaders. And we decided in the battalion, and well, I decided sort of, that here's what we're going to do. We're not going to abuse the troops. We're just not going to do that. We don't have to abuse the troops, right? We're going to train hard, but we're not. They got a problem. We're going to solve the damn problem, right? Just the way it is. So I thought we had, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. We had trust from the young guys, the privates and the corporals and the spec fours, the young sergeants, right? Through your NCOs, and then the lieutenants. Everybody was on the same sheet of music. We've got a job to do. We're going to get the job done. We're going to be hard, but we're not going to be stupid, right? Because there's a fine line. You guys probably know this, between hard and stupid. And you'll know it when you cross it, because everybody goes, that's stupid. And you're going, yeah, shit, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, okay.
But it is true. It is true. Your lead commander is what makes or break
Yep.
an enlisted man.
Yeah.
It is true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bullshit. You're right. I'll just give you one example. When we came back from Desert Storm, PT, we were doing PT in the wintertime, and we'd come in at 5 o'clock in the morning and have PT at 6. Well, I'm going, why are we doing that? Hell, it's cold, it's dark, and young enlisted wives have to drive in now at 4:30 with their young child and bring the old man in for 6. I said, well, this bullshit. We'll just do it in the afternoon. And you think I had struck the Pope, right? I said, we're going to do it. Here's what I said. I said, we're going to do it at 15:30. We're going to do it for an hour, and then we're going to go home. And everybody goes, you can't do that. I mean, this was my guys telling me this. I go, bullshit, I'm the battalion commander. I'll do whatever the hell I want, right? And so then I had to go see the brigade commander about it. And he, to his credit, he goes, all right, fine. It's fine. But it just made sense. So now you have young, I'm off target, but you have young enlisted and their wives that you're not abusing. They get to come in at 7 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, right? And so they get to have a normal life, not have to fricking come in. And plus, it's stupid doing PT at 6 in the morning when the moon is out, right? What the hell are we doing out here? Why aren't we having a cup of coffee? We'll do the shit in the afternoon at 3:30 when it's warm, right?
That's when you burn off the alcohol, sir. You get it out early, sir.
Well, that's the other. Yeah, it's a good. That's why do we have PT in the morning to burn off the alcohol? That's a good point.
I want to talk about the trenches.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you got a promise to write a book, and it was about these trenches. So
okay, all right.
I want to hear about the trenches.
All right, so this is going to take about a few minutes, but not.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, fine. So like I said earlier, the 101st is built to get behind people, to go deep and cut off the communication. So it's now December of 1990. 7th Corps has come. There are now 2 corps in the AOR, right? And then we have the coalition forces over in the east side, but we have 7th Corps and 18th Corps. So I'm going to tell you first how the mission came out. It's December. We're at Camp Eagle, and I'm with my brigade commander and the other battalion commanders in the brigade. And so there is a map with a cover on it. So brigade commander says something, then he picks up the cover. And the first thing I notice is I don't know where the hell I am. I look at the map and there's nothing I identify, no town. So where I was stationed, where we did the covering force was in eastern Saudi Arabia. we eventually, and I didn't know it when this cover came up, we're going to go 500 miles to the west. And we can talk about how we got there, but that's where we're going to fly from. The next thing I see is these two arrows going up like this and crossing. And I'm going, you must be shitting me. We're going to air assault. Right. And those arrows mean you're going to go in by helicopter. And at that time, nobody, and I was one of the nobodies, believed we're going to go in by helicopter because it was too damn much air defense in there. So we all thought 7th Corps is just going to kick the shit out of them and we're going to go clean up the mess. Yeah, easy peasy. No, you're going to go 500 miles to the west, and now we're going to air assault the first day 100 miles. Then I look at the order of how the brigade's going in, and I see the first unit is 1st 327th. And it felt like somebody had taken a plastic bag, putting over my head, and I can't breathe. And I'm going,
Oh, shit.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, you got to be shitting me. We're going to go first, and we're going to go on this big ass long 100-mile arrow. And so I sometimes turn red if I'm embarrassed. And I was kind of embarrassed. I didn't know where the hell we were, but I knew we were going first. And my brigade commander says, well, Frank, what do you think? Because he saw me turn red. I knew that. And I look at him, and I gave him the weakest, sorriest hua in the history of huas. That's the only thing I could think of was hua. I couldn't get out another word, but hua, right? And so that's what we're going to do. The division is going to fly by C-130 and by a ground convoy 500 miles to the west. And we're going to station ourselves out there with the 82nd and the French 6th and the 24th. And we're going to have this big Hail Mary. We're the Hail Mary. But the Hail Mary is going to be led by the 101st because we've got the helicopters. So our mission the first day was my brigade. And we're going to have an extra battalion from 2nd Brigade. The 1st of the 502nd is coming with there were 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of the 327s. We're going to go 100 miles deep and set up a gas station. In that night and day, we're going to bring in 100,000 gallons of aviation fuel. The next day, G+1, the 3rd Brigade of the 101st is going to fly 200 miles and cut the Euphrates Valley. And they're going to get right along Highway 8, and we're going to prevent Iraqi forces from leaving the Kuwait theory. They're not going to be able to go back toward Baghdad. And so sometimes when you think, well, why did those Iraqis stay and fight 7th Corps? Might be because that brigade is on their way out. They got to go through us. So to get out, the Blackhawks and Chinooks have to come back to what is going to be called Forward Operating Base Cobra. Okay, good enough. Good enough. So December goes. We go into January. We come back. And we go out to what is called TAA Campbell, 500 miles to the west. All right. While we're there, and if you want to talk about this later, we are exposed to sarin and mustard gas. If you want to talk about that later, but I'll get that. So January turns into February. It is now 48 hours before we're going to fly. 9:30 at night. I'm asleep. Unbeknownst to me, and I didn't know this, and excuse me, Brian, let me take a drink here.
Yeah, take a drink. And this is what a lot of people need to understand right here is it just wasn't all fun and games.
No, it was not. So unbeknownst to me, where we were going to land, my battalion, I have 4 landing zones. One for Alpha Company, one for Bravo Company, one for Charlie Company, and one for my Delta Company and HHC were all the Humvees. It was the heavy landing zone. The northernmost, the one closest to Baghdad, the farthest one for the whole thing that day, had fortifications on it. And it came down from Brigade S2, Division G2, Corps G2, that position was unoccupied. So what the landing zone in the landing zones were given to us by brigade or division. I don't know, but they were given to us. The northern one was landing on the fortifications that had been classified by unoccupied. So we can land there.
And that's just by satellite photos.
Yeah, and aerial planes, right, in night, right. So my S2, Captain Jose Delgado, 29, and almost more importantly, the E5, Jesus Gonzalez, he's 26. Gonzalez is like, he's brilliant too. And I'm going to just deviate. What are they now doing? Delgado now works for the Department of Justice. He is a SES 6, right, which is the highest level. He's on their counterterrorism. Well, he's part of that. And this guy Gonzalez, this E5, his job in life was to catch bad guys for one of the whatever. So that's what they were going to grow up. But right now they're mine. So they wake me up and said, sir, this was Gonzalez comes in and says, sir, you got to get up. And you don't wake up the damn brigade or battalion commander when he's asleep unless there's a problem. So I walk in there. They're all my staff, and I thought my mother had died because it was that serious. So Gonzalez takes me to the board, and he takes me through where he found the data that says there's somebody where we're going to land. And so Delgado looks at me and he says, why would they put and there was a tremendous amount of fortifications there. Why would they put that there without putting either fire on it or having troops there? I go, okay, fine. You sold me. They had sold my staff. My staff had already vetted them. And so I told my driver, Bruce Ditfield, or I told somebody, get Ditfield up, and we're going to get my Humvee, and I was going to take the 2 Delgado and my 3 Dempsey. So off we go. And it's now 10:30 at night. We get to brigade headquarters, and my brigade commander, Hill, is up. And so I let Delgado, I said, sir, we need to talk to you. And then Delgado starts to explain the situation. Well, shit, we're not getting anywhere, right? The S2, his S2 and S3, and again, maybe I'm reading them wrong, but I thought they were giving me the stink eye. Because did they not tell me it was unoccupied, and exactly why I am bothering them, right? Because this is what I'm going to ask them to do is move the LZ. And don't I know there's 300 helicopters? And don't I know there's 48 hours? And don't I know that the air mission brief where all your grids and your frequencies and all that shit is done? That was been done a few days ago. And so now and I was also the junior battalion commander, and I kind of look like a Boy Scout too. Shit, I look at I didn't look very old at all. I'm telling them, you're effed up, you're fucked up, right? Go tell division and corps. And why am I telling that? Because this young E5 over here, no, you think of this. This young E5 over here says so. And I'm looking at Delgado, and then I had looked at, they didn't wake me up for nothing. And I trusted, this is the same guy, Delgado, that told me that Iraq was going to invade. This guy. And so I trust them, and I'm going with it. Well, it just goes south hard, right? My Delgado in the book writes, it was profanity laced. That's how it's. If you get me right, I'm a nice guy most of the time, but sometimes I'm not. And right now I wasn't. So if there was a time to fall on your sword, I fell on it. And then I picked myself up, turned my back around, fell on it again. Because I thought we're in deep, deep shit. I thought we're in trouble. And the more I talked, the more stink I got from the 2 majors over here. And my brigade commander, so I guess I got pissed. And so for the last 5, and I don't remember what I said. I knew I took my helmet off and threw it at his feet. Probably not a wise decision for, motion progression. And there were about 15 people in there. And when I looked up, when I was finished venting, and I questioned everybody's paternity and all this other stuff. I look, and everybody was gone except the brigade commander. Everybody left, right? And in retrospect, they didn't want to be part of the court-martial procedures, right? Did you hear that? No, I didn't hear it. Right? And so they're all out, and he looks at me and says, no. So at that moment, I go, well, I'm going to tell him to put it in writing. And then I'm thinking, well, shit, that's just Hollywood bullshit. And it's in writing. It's in the op order. They're telling me to go to this location, this location. So I go, fine. Right. And I walk out, I get in the Jeep. The Delgado says I threw my helmet one more time at the Humvee. When I don't remember that, but he said, you threw it again. And so so that night I'm trying to figure out, well, exactly what are you going to do? Right. Because you're the commander and you had to figure something out. And so, okay. The next morning we get the call from, and I can't remember if it was Colonel Hill or one of the underlings, but they said, we're going to we can move it back 2 kilometers. So it's about a mile back. Well, it's better than going on top, but it's still pretty close, but okay, fine. So the night before the air assault, I go one more time up to brigade, and the S2 comes out, and I'm just saying, and just one other thing on that. I wrote all this in a strategic paper in 1992-3 for the War College. It was called North Euphrates. So all the shit was, I wrote all this down. This was my strategy paper. North Euphrates, part 1 of the Taking the FOB Cobra. So the young major, he pulls me aside and he says, Colonel Hancock, you got nothing to worry about. There's nobody there. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. Fast forward the next day. We land, and because it was a chemical environment, we had more shit than you could imagine. We didn't assault. We rolled out of the helicopters. We had taken the seats out. We had jammed everything inside it, right? We could, pickets and plywood. And so the Black Hawk takes off where I'm laying on a piece of plywood. That was my job, to hold the plywood down. I'm looking up. He leaves, and then I hear gunfire. And it was a ZPU-4. And I'd never heard that before, but I knew damn well it wasn't an Apache. And then I'm still laying down. I put my head up on that hill. There are green tracers going out, which I didn't know there was green tracers. I didn't know that shit. I knew it now. I go, well, that must not be ours. So I see green tracers going up, these ZPUs, and then I see red tracers going down. One of the Apache guy that's protecting me is a guy named Dick Cody. Cody becomes a legend. He becomes a 4-star. And I'm watching him, and he damn near got shot down. I saw the incident where these green tracers go right past him. So now we're having this run and gun up there. I'm picking myself up, and this young Sergeant Hall, walks by me, and he looks me dead in the eye and says, Colonel, what are we going to do? And my first thought was, that's a damn good question. I don't know exactly what the hell we're supposed to do. Because what we were supposed to do is face west. Our unit, we're going to face west. We're going to march out about 500 meters and start digging in. Because the threat was from the west. The west was where the 82nd and where the 6th French were, and they were now going to push armored forces toward us. We weren't supposed to, this wasn't supposed to happen. So over the next 2.5 hours, there's, they call it a JAT, a Joint Army Air Force Task Force. At the base of this hill, right, I have about 50 to 80 guys, right, from my Alpha company. I have a spotter 58 that came up. I have the Apaches who are running out of gas. They're shooting Hellfires, shooting their 30 millimeters. They move off. The third of the 101 comes in. That was first of the 101 who left. They're Cobras. And so they're starting to shoot toes. And they're, I think it's a 20, I don't know exactly, maybe a 20 millimeter gun they have on it. Where we kind of screwed up was we didn't bring any artillery in on the first lift. And I've told people about this. So I don't have any artillery. We had a contentious, and I'll just tell you this right, with the Air Force. I have a air liaison officer with me. And I thought I would get air immediately. I'm the lead element of the lead brigade of the freaking lead of it. Well, I don't. right? Because we're 500 miles from the East Coast. Where's the planes coming from? The East Coast. So it wasn't until about 40 minutes I get air. And I don't want to make it any more dramatic than I seen, but me and the division ALO, we had a kind of a contentious toss for a little bit. He wanted me to see the enemy. Well, I don't see shit. All I see is a hill. I know they're somewhere on the other side. So I tell the guy, and the reason why I tell him is the ALO said, look, you don't tell him that we can see him. He's not going to give us the air. He's going to control it, which did me no good because I got troops walking around there. So I tell him, yeah, I can see him. Yeah, I'm good. I might be Superman, but I can see him. I couldn't see shit. I can see that hill. I don't see any enemy. I'll tell you why in a minute. So we get to control. There were two F-16s came in. Both of them had two 2,000-pound bombs. And I was a little leery of using them because it was so much. So I dropped them on a logistics site that I knew up there from our intel, right? And so this goes on. We get artillery, right? Finally, it's now about 10:15. Two flights of A-10s, A-10s come in. In the A-10s, each one of them has 6 500-pound bombs. And so I had turned the fight over to John Russell and my Alpha company who was up there. And he lazed in. He had an ALO sergeant with him, and they lazed the front edge of the hill. And they hit that son of a bitch with all 12 of those 500-pound bombs. So 10:30, still no surrender. We've been there 2.5 hours. We had landed in the daytime. The original LZ time was 6 o'clock because of a dust storm. It was delayed, so we attacked in the day. At 10:37, they gave up. And so when they gave up, my scout platoon leader says, there's white flags. And then he goes, there's a lot of white flags. And that's when I got pissed all over again, because it turned out I had been there under the assumption, because nobody could see anything, that there was maybe 30 people up there, 30 to 50 maybe, right? Well, there was 344. And what they had dug in, they're in the hill. So they had some type of horizontal drill. They had dug caves in, and there were about 40 to 50 caves. Each cave could handle 6 to 8 people. So that's why nobody ever saw anybody. Even when we were attacking, they were shooting at the holes. We didn't know. We just didn't know what was up there. And so that's the trench line, right? And that's what happened. Why didn't we land there? Those pictures, yeah, no, you got that shit right. Yes, they were. Because when they surrendered, not all of them, but many of them were bleeding from their ear and bleeding from their nose. We didn't kill anybody. I'm dropping all the shit. I thought we're dropping it, right? The Air Force is doing this. We shot every 105 round that we had. We had 6 left when they surrendered. That was the other thing. Sir, we got 6 rounds left. And then the Air Force told me, that's it. You're not going to get any more. This was all before they surrendered. Within 20 minutes, no more 105s, but 6, and you're going to get no more close air support. That's all your infantry. But do some of that infantry shit you're supposed to be doing. That's it. Why don't you fire and maneuver? Why don't you get up that right? Okay. At 9 o'clock, I just said, this is kind of a funny story too, but sort of not real funny. My brigade commander he's handling all the flow, and he really doesn't know what the hell's going on up there. Matter of fact, I didn't know what the hell was going on up there. I didn't know what was up there. So at 9 o'clock, he says, you need to start going up the hill. You've been there. I've been there for an hour. And I go, what? I go, Roger. What the hell's Roger mean? Well, it means I'll get around to it, but I wasn't going up there at 9 o'clock because I hadn't. So 10 o'clock comes around. He hadn't called me back. Right. And so I'm sure if it wasn't in another 15 minutes, he's going to tell me to go up the hill. And what a disaster that had been. We go up in the hill, and they're in caves, and there's 344 of them. and we're trying to go up the hill, and I got 80 guys there. Then, you know,
That's
So-
that's
That
incredible.
don't add up.
And
no,
this
well,
story- this story is in your book.
it's in the book. Yeah, this action, right? It got the Battalion of Valorous Unit Award, and there was only one, I think this is correct. There was only one infantry battalion that got that. In the guys that were supporting me, first of the 101, they got a Valorous Unit Award. I mean, it was some. I didn't put it in. It was
the two
put in 1996. Somebody put it in, and I find out.
And the sergeant, then they get some kind of an award as well.
Well, okay, all right. I don't want to get too much, but nobody wanted to talk about this for a variety of reasons. So when you see the early books come up, there's not much, and again, it is what it is, right? Right. There's not the 93, 94 books that come out about this is barely mentioned. Nobody wants to say what coulda, woulda, shoulda been if it wasn't for these two guys. Now, fast forward to 2021. They're recognized, both of them, at the Army Heritage Education Center at the War College. They get the Boots on the Ground Award. There's a huge ceremony. It's a huge dinner. Dick Cody, the general, he was part of it. He got the Living Legend Award, right? But Delgado and Gonzalez got it. And then this year, they were both made distinguished members of the 327th Regiment, and you can't get any higher than that, right? Right. That's as good as it's going to get. You're with these guys from World War II and these guys, and they deserved it too.
I agree.
Yeah. No. It was. Let me put it this way: if I had any more sons, it'd be Jesus and Jose. I'd name it after those two guys because what was going to happen is we're going to land on top of an infantry battalion that's dug in, and then they're going to kill us. That's what's going to happen. And then you can cut it any way you want and weasel out of it all you want. Well, bullshit. Yeah, it would have. They shot down, and I left this. They shot down an Apache, hit its hydraulics, and it had to auto-rotate down, right? So it was like, well, they were going to give up. No, they won't. And I'll add just one more thing of why they kept fighting. When we interrogated them, both the battalion commander and a senior NCO on different occasions, both said, and this is just what they said. They said that their wives and their families, they were threatened that if they gave up, they're going to kill their wives. Okay. So, would that have happened? Well, what we did find, and again, there was a political officer there, right? Dressed differently, better equipment and everything, and wouldn't shut the hell up, right? This political officer, I guess, was the official snitch on whether or not they fought hard enough. And they're not going to fight anymore. Again, once you saw them, because they were guys laying on the ground, they couldn't get up because their inner ears were blown out, right? And so we had to kind of duct tape them together to get one guy that could walk and this other guy to get them to the POW camp. That became in itself kind of an interesting problem that my Alpha company took care of. But there was a lot of stuff. I kind of controlled it, but I had all these young privates and sergeants and lieutenants and captains doing the right shit at the right time, right? That's why it went the way it went. When I look back and I read these guys' narratives, I'm going, damn, that was smart. And the kid's 19, right? He's 19 damn years old, and he's doing this, right? There's a guy named Stan Banach, just doing stuff. Richie Hagedorn, he's coming in on this convoy from hell. That's right. All these guys are doing stuff, right, that you would expect senior, and you look at they're 19, right? Been in the Army a year, 2 years, but they were professionals in what the hell they were doing. And so when they did an action that had to be done by them, because I can't hold their hand, company commander ain't holding their hand because it's too much shit going on, right? They did the right thing. Did the right thing. Wasn't stupid. We did the right thing. So again, that's the trench one.
And when does this book actually get released, Carl?
Well, it's going to be November. Well, that's a good question. So it's been released in it. There you go. That's Chris Reed. Okay, you want to hear about this guy real quick? Real quick. This guy was at Fort Benning. He had already PCS down at Fort Benning, went AWOL from the Infantry Advanced Force. He shows back up before we deploy, says he needs to go to war with his mates. And I'm looking at him like he's the biggest dumbass in the history of dumbasses. I said, you know you're AWOL. He says, sir, I got to go. I go, fine. And I could hear my S1 outside my door, Tom Guliff groaning over this. I'm going, fuck it. We're going to get him on the plane. So we did. The interest, he didn't get paid for 9 months. Oh, yeah, Fort Benning didn't think this was funny, right? I thought, how can you leave a guy? How can you leave a guy that wants to go so damn bad that he goes AWOL? Well, they saw no humor, and so he didn't get paid. It was like a month after we got back, he finally got paid. So the book came out in England in September, early September. Here in the States, it's going November the 13th. It's made a little ripple. It's made a little ripple on Amazon. You see the shit on there, and you see your name, and there's bestseller Amazon, and it for its category, Iraq, and you're going, that's right, I'm the man. That's right.
Yeah.
Right shit too, right? But it's a good, and again, I don't want to, promote it too much, but it's a great story. It's a great story about young guys. If I had a young person that was going to go in the military, I go, read this. This is all about young, and we were all men, and it could be young men, women, but we were all young dudes doing what had to get done in kind of a professional manner.
I mean, I have to agree with you on that. I mean, if you really think about it, our war, it's not told. It's not. Anytime you ever hear them talk about wars, it's always every war, but they skip right over Desert Storm.
Yeah. Okay. You want my opinion on it? Okay. Here's my opinion.
So good.
Exactly. And so you go back to the Vietnam era and you take a look at the correspondence, and they were almost to a man and a woman anti-military, anti-war. Fast forward to 1990, 91, they got to eat crow. Same damn people. Okay, fine. So when the war's over, what do they decide to do? Well, they start bad-mouthing it. Well, it wasn't that tough. Well, these guys, you're going like, excuse me, this was the fourth largest in the world, army in the world. Nobody wanted to screw with them. The Israelis didn't want to screw with these. They went toe-to-toe with the Iranians, right? And so they got poison gas, they got Scuds, they got second, third generation MiGs. They got all this shit. They got a million men, 4,000 tanks, and you're telling us that wasn't a big deal. And we're telling you, I do, exactly who the hell do you want us to fight? The Soviets? Well, we'd have kicked their ass back then too. With that army, we'd have kicked the shit out of them. We'd have kicked them right back out of West Germany. Yeah. So inside the army and inside the military, there were people that went and those who did not. And so if you did not, and again, this is just me, right? There were some people, they go, well, I didn't go, so it wasn't that hard. And you're going, you didn't go because you didn't go. It's like I didn't go to Panama, but the damn 7th and the 82nd and the Rangers and the Marines did a damn good job down there. And they did it, and it was probably pretty hard too, right? So you have these two factors. So this operation, which is arguably, and I've seen it and I got it in the book, the quotation from this historian, the greatest operation the United States Army let's go with the United States military ever embarked on. Who kicked the shit out of these people in basically 6 weeks, right? With minimal, we did. Why? Because I called it in the Army, we were a smash mouth army and a Renaissance army. We were that good. But nobody, you go to Barnes and Nobles like I did last week, you won't find a book about Desert Storm. You won't find even Schwarzkopf's It Takes a Hero. You won't find it. Except, who did Hegseth in his speech to the generals and the admirals?
Right.
Which military? He picked us out, and there's a reason why. because we were that good. So why doesn't the military we have some stuff that we have to fix in the military. I think all of we kind of, probably some of it, right? To fix it, take a look at what the processes and the motivation that we had back in the 80s and that transpired in the 90s, that 90-91 Army. Because in 92, 93, we're going to decimate it. We're going to cut it in half, right? And so it's not going to be around for 9/11. We're going to be half our strength.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah. It wasn't that big. Bullshit. The Battle of 73 Eastings, that was the biggest tank battle since frickin' Kursk back in 1943. Right? We're just wailing away. I mean, you see these pictures of the oil wells on fire, and you see where all this sarin gas got people we were one of them, got exposed to it. Oh, that didn't happen. No, it did. I'm sitting right there listening to all the bells go off from our M8 alarms, and we take our 256 kits, we strake it, sarin and mustard. And then we bring one of these Czechoslovakian Fox vehicles up there. High tech, yeah, it streaks too. Well, that's good enough for me, right? You might say it wasn't there, but then again, you weren't there. If you'd have been there and heard the alarms go off, yeah, you'd say, well, look, shit, looks like we're getting hit.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, I'm really impressed with the Army right now. I mean, I hate what I'm about to do to y'all. I really am. I really, really hate. But just as a reminder, we're coming. Wade, is there anything else that you would like to bring up?
Oh, there's a lot, but I think we might have to do a part 2 on this one, Kevin.
I would love to do. Colonel, would you be willing to come on?
Yep. Yeah, just jump
sometime next month and do a part 2. Okay, because I even have some questions.
I got about halfway through my list, so
and
I apologize for
no. This is the stories that need to be told about Desert Storm, and this is what this program is about. It's about telling our stories because we all have stories. I mean, not as good as that one. Mine sucks. I mean, to be honest with you, but there is one story that I would like to tell, and that's coming up in December the 13th. Right there, guys.
Oh, we're going to kick your ass.
I just want you to
you wait and see. Wait and see.
Each and every one of y'all to understand right there. We have a bet now. If the
we're gonna smoke you. We're gonna smoke you like a cheap cigar.
Listen, if the cook wants to jump in on this bet with us, the loser has to dress up in full drag. I mean, wig, makeup.
Oh no!
Everything.
How about no? Yeah, you guys, y'all. How about no? Hell no.
But that's our bet. Like last year, these two guys had to wear makeup. I gave them a 10-point lead.
Oh, that was bullshit. Yeah. Okay, fine. So here's what a wuss I am. I can't stand to lose. I've hated those bastards forever. I hate Navy.
Let's bring that up again, guys. Right there.
That's a good one. Right. So I DVR it. I DVR it, and if they lose, I just delete it. I won't watch the newspapers the next day. Like it didn't happen. Like, yeah, I dress and drag you till.
Hey, Kevin, do you want to bring up the QR code tonight?
Right, I am. But Lex, you're absolutely right. This was an outstanding effing episode.
Hey, I did want to give a shout out to the Colonel. When I reached out to him, I mean, he was so gracious to reach out back, and we had a long conversation. And I'll be honest, when our first phone call, I mean, I had no idea he was an officer, let alone a colonel. I mean, he was, to me, talking to him on the phone was just like a joke. So I mean, it was
a lot of people think that too. I'll just tell you just one story. I'm playing basketball. I'm playing basketball in Hawaii, and I guess it's like 1987. And so I'm playing I talk shit immediately when I walk in, right? And I'm in there with like, I don't know, like 80 black guys and me. So I'm talking shit left and right. And I walk out and I'm a major. And this young kid comes up, he goes, "Damn, sir, I thought you were a Spec 4." I'm going, well, that's good. That's good because, you're whatever an officer should be. And again, an officer is a leader, but also people have to trust that bastard, right? And the way you trust people is to take care of them, learn their problems and everything. And so playing ball with them, even in the desert, I play football with them, right? Because that's part of, hey, you know what? I can hang, I can bleed, and I'm going to go with you when it's hard, right? So talking to you, you're a human being. Shit, let's get past this other shit and let's get to the stuff we got to get done. So
I love that. I love that. November the 13th, I'd like to have you come back. That's the Thursday, 7 p.m. If you just look on the calendar and see if that's okay and everything,
Okay.
or you just look on any Thursday.
Okay, no, that's fine.
And all that.
Okay. All right.
And also, I just want to tell each and everybody who's listening, thank you. I mean, without this, without people like the Colonel coming on, and Lex and everybody else who telling the stories about Desert Storm, I mean this program wouldn't go. And
Yeah.
I mean, we could bitch, moan, and groan about how the world is today, but let's talk about how great it was when we were in.
Yeah.
And
Well,
maybe we get it back.
Yeah, that we were, and I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, right? We were part of the best military. And I'm maybe 1944, 45, but the best military the United States ever threw into combat. And they decided, the people in the 1980s, right, decided we're not gonna screw this up, and we're gonna have overmatching power. And so we were part of that. We were an ass kicking. We might be old men now, but we knew when we were there, when we went up to somebody, we were gonna knock the shit out of them, and that's what we did, right? So when everybody, no bullshit, you were part of it. You were part of it, and be fucking proud of it. Yeah, no, yeah,
and the one thing really nice tonight, sir, is that I'm not the oldest bastard on the program tonight.
Hey, you know what?
When you told me your age, or when you talked about, you do not look that old.
No.
I mean, you got more hair than these two guys.
I mean, shit,
Life has treated us well, Colonel. I mean,
it does. It's got. Let me tell you about that age. You know what my wife says when somebody she says, "Well, you don't see him naked."
Wow, okay.
That's my wife. Yeah.
Oh, that is so going into a short
It's so
video
cold.
right there, guys.
It's so cold. It's cold.
Okay, guys, so the QR code that is right behind me, I'm pointing at it right there. That is for Dr. Glom. She has been supporting us since we got out of Desert Storm. She's looking for people. She needs about 500. So far, I believe there's probably about 75 people who have contacted her through this show, but I want to bring that up. I want to get this up to at least 300 people calling her. I did it. It's easy. It's an easy program to go through. They work with you. Please just scan the QR code. They're going to set you up. You have 2 little visits. It's not that very long, and everything they send you kit. Everything's going to be done at home, and so you don't have to travel. Don't have to do anything. So if you can't scan the QR code, it's right there at the top of our Facebook page. Just go in there, click on it, and bring you right to it. Colonel, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. Yep.
Well, thank you.
John, thank you for coming on. Wade, thank you for getting the Colonel to come on, and thank you for coming on. And this is the one thing. These guys are going to start hosting with me. If they get the guys, I want them to host it. These are their guys, you know. I sit back as the proud Navy guy that, will, talk crap about the Army, but tonight I can't talk crap about the Army. I'm really damn impressed. I cannot believe I just said that. I'm really impressed. But right now, what we're going to do is go into the after show.
Okay.
That's where we go in. It's on Patreon. We go in and talk as much crap and much shit as we want to. And y'all, if y'all want to get a hold of me at Kevin Simon at goforsideffects.com. Once again, Colonel, I really appreciate you coming on. And everybody, y'all have a great night.